Revered Secretary Swamiji, esteemed Principal, respected Head of the Department of English, and staff members of Department of English, faculty of other disciplines, my dear students. After listening to Swamiji, I thought what he spoke was much more important than what I am going to talk about. Because his was very motivational, and each one of you should take it very, very seriously. Opportunities come, and he knocked 3 times, but opportunities come only once, right? And we should be very much aware of that. And if the days go, even a minute go, it is gone. We cannot put the clock back. We will lose everything. So that's a very important message that all of you should take. Now, right now, it will be very difficult for you to assimilate that, what exactly Swamiji said and what this guy is going to talk about. But takes time. Open your mind. Oh. உங்களுக்கு கேக்குதா? இப்பதான் கேக்குதா? Okay. See, when the principal was speaking, he mentioned about Tamil medium or other medium coming to the English department. And all of us clapped. And I clapped for myself also. There was a time when there used to be SSLC, right? Nothing about +2. And I was the last batch of this SSLC, secondary school leaving certificate. Throughout that 12 years of schooling, I was in Tamil medium. And there was 1 year, it is called PUC, Pre-University Certificates. That is the time when I moved to a college, where the medium of instruction was English. But I didn't know anything about English. Then I chose, that was one college. Then I moved to another college. I chose English literature, BA English literature. 12 years of schooling in Tamil medium, 1 year Tanglish, and I took BA English literature. Then there is no looking back. There was a teacher, before I get into my topic, I just want to inform this because I was motivated by Swamiji and your principal. There was a teacher, on the first, I went to the college about 1 month behind schedule. I was looking for medicine and all other things. I got it, but there was some problem, so I have to discontinue and I come back to my place, which is Nagarkoil. So I went to a college called Scott Christian College. 1 month after the sessions opened. The first day I went, one professor, that time he used to be called a lecturer, he asked me to read 1 page from one fiction. It is called Ivanhoe. I don't know how many of you will come over, will meet this kind of fiction, but right now it is not there because when I was studying, it is only British English, English, not American or Indian or Canadian or Caribbean. So Ivanhoe, just 1 page, he asked me to read 1 page. I was profusely sweating, right? And he opened, I still remember that page, that was 32, page number 32. I couldn't read fluently. At the end of that reading, just 1 page, remember, just 1 page. That book is about 300 pages or little more. He asked me, are you a new student? I said, yes. Go and meet lecturer Kuttikan, who is heading the Department of History. He said, you are not fit for English literature. You cannot read even 1 page. You have the temerity to come to this department to go for English literature. It's a shame. All these things he didn't say. He just said, go to meet Kuttikan, that is history department. What I thought was, that I read very well. He thought that I should go and meet the lecturer. But what was not said was this, that is a shame on you to coming to this place. So I went to the English department. That department had 27 members. I still remember many of them are still alive, very close friends now, not teachers, very close friends. There was an Anglo-Indian. He was there. He saw me. And they were during lunch period, they were just opening their lunch boxes and about to eat. And I went there and I was standing there. Then he looked at me, who are you? I said, I just joined the English Literature, Department of English Literature, first class. Who asked you to come here? Sir, Professor, Dr. Tangaraj asked me to come here to meet Kutikan. Why did he ask you to do that? I don't know, sir. Then he asked the other teacher. He said, no, he is hopeless. For English literature, he said, he is hopeless. Then that person, Ignatius Rosario, his name is Ignatius Rosario. He put a hand on my shoulder and he said, what is your name? He said, Murugan. Nothing came from my mouth. I said, Murugan. Okay. No, don't get offended. You come to the next class and prove yourself that you are worth for English literature. Just a small 2-3 words, that's all. That was the motivation that gave me. Then, 1995, I think, I gave orientation to all English department faculty members at the same college. So, teachers of different kind. Why that teacher said? Because he was more fascinated about the discipline. Why the other teacher said that you should go move on? Because he was for the students. We can't blame either. There will be teachers who are more kind of favorable to the discipline. And there are teachers who always look at learners. It will come together. When they come together, that is called a staff department. So if you have come from different disciplines or different medium to English department, don't get offended at all. Even if somebody says that you are not speaking well, it will come on its own. The only thing is you should be like warriors, not soldiers. You should be like warriors. You have to meet kind of able to fight for yourselves. Until you say it is over, it is not over. Nobody can put an end to this. So I'm very happy to be here in this great citadel of learning, which has been doing yeoman services since 1946, and particularly happy to be along with you, along with Reverend Swamiji, principal and the head of the Department of English, in the inauguration of the English Literary Association. And I'm not going to talk about anything because when I received that invitation, it said special lecture. I don't think there is anything special about this. Whatever I'm going to talk about, your teachers can also talk about, even much better. But in the classrooms, many of you may not be able to ask questions even if you want to, because every day you will be meeting them. But here is a situation. Coming from outside, we will never meet again, perhaps. So you can ask questions. The more questions you ask, as Swamiji rightly said, you have to open up, ask questions. There is no right thing or wrong thing. You have to ask questions. You have to challenge me. The more you challenge, better will come out. Otherwise, I will say blah, 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 and I'll go back after completing my presentation. Don't let me go that way. You challenge. I may not have answers for all the questions that you may ask, but this will open up my own way of thinking and reflections. Thank you very much. Then we will go back to our presentation. Then Tamil Nadu Open University. And college used to be one of the centers of Tamil Nadu Open University way back. I think 2005 or 2006, I don't know, during that time. And here, the language of learning in the AI system, ecosystem. The language here does not say anything about the languages that we know. Could be Sanskrit, could be Telugu, could be Spanish or Korean. I'm not using language in that sense. Language here means the nature of learning, how we learn, how we have been learning, and what is going to happen in the future. That is a kind of language. It's a kind of a metaphor. I use it as a metaphor. Suppose I say how language learning is learned. Not language is learned. How learning takes place. When we sit in a classroom for about, say, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, and a lecturer or a professor talks about a particular topic, how we process this. Whatever the teacher says, we would be able to process not more than about 30%. Unless we reflect on what has happened in the classrooms more and more and more, nothing will come back to us. That is what we call learning. And there are various theories of that one. I'm not going to talk about any theories of that. What I want to suggest is that language here means not our human language or any computer language. Language here means the nature of learning. That's all. So metaphor is something like after listening to me, after about, say, 1 hour. 1 hour is a too long period perhaps, but 1 hour. Supposing you, both of you talk, or 2 of you, or 3 of you talk, and this guy came with a tie, and he has been talking about something. Whatever he said was Greek and Latin to me. If you say that, what does it mean? That you did not understand anything. Instead of saying that you did not understand, you say, whatever he said was Greek and Latin to me. That Greek and Latin, that is the metaphor for not understanding. So that is the metaphor, right, that we use. Then about learning. Learning is not only in the educational context. The focus is now more on learning than teaching. For example, when it's after about your 3 years here, when you go for B.Ed, so far, past about 60, 70 years, the focus of B.Ed was on teaching methodologies, for example. But there is a shift now. It is not only teaching, the shift is on learning. How to learn, learning to learn, how to make it lifelong. So it is called lifelong learning. Every incident that takes place in our experience, in our life, is a learning process. Right? When I came here, I never thought that Swamiji will talk about something. So it came back to my mind that he said, knock, knock, knock. Who is there? That kind of opportunity. So I learned something. Then the principal talked about the medium. Right? So every day is a learning process. The only thing is we have to open our mind. Nothing is closed. We open our mind. Don't take sides. Right? When the Swamiji says AI is going to help us or not, that's a question. Don't take sides. You have to research it on. You have to think about it. There is no extreme views on anything at all. There is no truth about anything. There are multiple layers of truth. That you should keep in mind. Open your mind when you go for any field of study. Open your mind, do everything, accept everything, then make a decision of your own. What I said, what somebody else said, it is not final. The final truth will come from you. You have to assess yourself. That is the kind of learning that I am talking about. Then about the AI ecosystem. Ecosystem is a kind of an environment. When we talk about classroom, what comes to your mind, the environment? A teacher standing here, students sitting there, there may be a bench, there is a blackboard, there are chalk pieces, then the classes takes place, then there is a book. The teacher's role is to simplify the text so that the students can understand better, and there will be quizzes or internal assessments and examinations, invigilation, so on and so forth. That's a kind of classroom environment. When we speak about AI, this environment, it will be completely different. Right? Now in a classroom situation, the single source of knowledge comes from the teacher. When I go for technology-mediated learning, it is not a single source, multiple sources of learning, multiple sources of knowledge. We should be able to assimilate that. There was a time when there was a paucity of knowledge, paucity of information. Now this is in excess. So we should, supposing you go for Google search and put something and you type, there will be hundreds of things coming up. But you should be able to locate what exactly is necessary for you. So AI ecosystem is completely different from a classroom setup. It is not only the learners who have to change, teachers themselves have to change. Our thinking perception will change. So we are not looking at AI as a tool that is final. No, we are not. Yeah, we are not saying that. A tool is as good or as bad as the person who is behind the tool. If I have a knife with me, I am not a doctor. What will happen? I may use it for cutting vegetables. If I am a criminal, which I am not fortunately, if I am a criminal, perhaps I can use it to do something else. If I were a doctor, the knife can be used for a different purpose. Knife is a tool, but it all depends on who uses it. So AI is a tool. It depends on how we use it, where we use it, how appropriately we use it. This is important. So that's what I am talking about this. It's a tool. And the question is, who am I? AI. What is AI? No, I'm just asking. That's kind of a rhetorical question, okay? Artificial intelligence, yes, it's a rhetorical question. Why? But you look at this, it's a humanoid. Looks like a human. And is there anything that will surpass human knowledge? No. Is artificial intelligence going to replace teachers? No. Who feeds this? It is something like laptop. Laptop is there to help us to learn something or type something. But who feeds that laptop? The software, human beings. If I am hungry, I can eat. I cannot eat laptops. So things are different here. So AI is a tool, one, and it is not going to replace anybody. It's a complementary. It's not an alternative. It complements. Say if in telecom, we use a last mile connectivity. Say telecom, they have fiber optical wires everywhere it goes. From one particular area, say A to B, there will not be any link. That is called last mile connectivity. So it's complements. That's a kind of complements. Complement with C-O-M-P-L-E, not I. L-E-M-E-N-T. So this is, okay. And it is not something new. This is what I just want you to rub it in your mind. The kind of thinking that we are going to talk about the ecosystem is not something new. How we learn, what education should be of different types, and it came even in the 1968, right? Middle 1968, one Paulo Freire, he is a Brazilian, Latin American, and this book was very famous. And when he wrote Pedagogy of the Oppressed, oppressed is not in terms of our own context. Oppressed is the mind. He says, a new type of education, 1968, he said. Okay, many of you would have born between 2006 and 2008, isn't it? But he said 1968. Need for new type of education. And that should be a partnership among learners and teachers. What does he mean by partnerships? Okay, let us go to a canteen and we'll sit together and discuss vada, samosa and tea. That is not kind of partnership. The partnership is looking at the learners and look for what the essential thing a particular person needs. Like say for example, some people learn better when they listen to somebody. Because learning styles differ. If we are about say 100 people here, there may be 100 different or even 300 different learning styles. But what we use in a classroom is only one style. And the teachers are not very clear to say that I am addressing myself to the first bencher or last bencher or middle bencher. They cannot do that. So who are they addressing themselves to? A whole set of students. But in that set of students, some will learn better when the person listens to music. That is my category. I listen, then I work. Some people will learn better when there is no distraction, no sound. Even a pin drop will disturb them. So there will be people may be sitting on a cot and they will be reading.
People may be sitting on a bench, they will be reading. So different types of learning styles. So this is what a teacher's role is. Because communication, when they give a subject, explaining a subject, that is much easier. But whether it has reached the students, that is a more difficult and complex task. Because each of us thinks differently. So that is the kind of partnership that he talks about. Then the critical thought process, the bottom one. It is not the subjects. Because we teach, we learn for what? To write our examinations, to get a degree. And everything else is not important. The critical process, what we have learned, say somebody, when I was a student, somebody told me, if you read a book, and if you cannot spend just 2 minutes to reflect on what you have read, you are insulting the author. So you have to reflect on what you have studied. Very difficult. Right now it is very difficult. You are sitting here as a captive audience. There is no other go. You cannot go around. So you are sitting here. But keep your mind open. What this fellow said. Am I reflecting on what I am reading? What I am talking about? What I am listening to? What I should do? What is the critical process? When I read, say for example, literature, Shakespearean, say Hamlet. So it's just a very, very, very famous phrase, to be or not to be. What does it mean? Different teachers will teach differently. If I were a Marxist, my Shakespearean interpretation will be from Marxism. If I were a feminist, my experience will influence on me, then I will give a feminist view of Shakespearean. So people today, and today when I talk like this, tomorrow around the same time you ask me to say the same thing, I won't repeat the same thing. I may be telling something else. So even the context makes. So the critical thought process is very important. Not only he, there is another person. He is from Central Europe, Ivan Illich. Deschooling society. Deschooling society, which means nothing is straitjacketness. Don't put anything in a kind of a box. Free yourself. Think wide. This is what he says. Deschooling. Because the moment we say schooling is institutionalized, the society is institutionalized. Say for example, I'll just give you a kind of, when I was to come here, you know what I first wore as a shirt? It is a kind of flowery one. What people will use it for summer vacations, right? Then it came to me. I'm going to a college. I'm going to talk about something. Then even if it is sweating outside, the temperature is about 37, I was wearing this. Right? So this is what is called institutionalization. If I come with a kind of Bermuda shorts, a hat, and some very flowery shirt or something like the printed shirt, what will happen? All of you will be looking at me, not by what I talk. Even now you are doing that. But so we are institutionalized. We look at something from our own perspectives. Our own perspectives are important, but at the same time you have to take into account of the others as well. You have to broaden your views. So you have to de-institutionalize. That's what he talks about. It is not new. And in 1970s, I did not give the date, okay. And he was talking about self-direction. What is self-direction? Teaching and learning takes place in a classroom, that's fine. But you have to fix your goal. The goal post always changes, depending on the market trend, what your parents say, what your peers say, what our teachers say, what the environment suggests, everything. But you have to keep your goal post clean. And you have to pursue that. Self-direction. I want to complete this and I want to become so and so. That kind of self-direction, that is the goal that learning and should give. That's the reason why he suggested something like L3. LLL. Lifelong learning. It is not only classroom. What takes place in a class, like once I was in IIT, the former director of IIT, I think Professor Ramamurthy, when I was talking to him, he said, what he learned in the classroom is less than what he learned in the canteen. Which means the canteen is not used for tea and coffee. The canteen was used for discussion, pre-discussion. So you have to group yourselves and talk about this. That will help you. And that this is something replicates on the AI system as well. Think out of the box. This is what the whole focus of this presentation is on that one. Think out of the box. Nothing should restrict you. Right? Nothing should restrict you. Keep yourself open. And then if you do that, there will be 360-degree change in teaching and learning, education. This is the way the world we live in and learn now is changing and changing quite rapidly. How many of you have seen a radio? Not sir, not you. Our students. You have seen? Very good. There was a time when it was called a radio, right? National radio or pioneer radio with valves at the back and all those things. When I was a small boy, please believe me, I used to be a small boy also. So I was very, very kind of enthused by these songs coming from a small box. I used to ask my brother, how the songs are coming? He said the people are inside the radio box. I believed that. One day when nobody was there, I ripped to open the backside and I was looking for the person who was going to sing. And I touched something, that's the only thing I knew. I was like 10 feet away. It gave me shock. It put me away. Then there was a time when there was transistor. Have you seen transistors? Students. Transistor. Cassette player, single and double cassette players. Walkman, okay. MP3 player, mobile phones. I remember what the Reverend Swamiji said. So there is an evolution, not only human evolution, technological evolution, right? And when I say C-A-R, car, what comes to your mind? Somebody said something? Vehicle, okay, vehicle. It's a kind of a 4-wheel or 4 tires, some mechanism. Nobody, have you thought about Audi car, BMW, Mercedes, Ambassador? Okay, Ambassador. So that was a mechanical car that we have used to. Now it is called what? EV, electric vehicles. Changes. There are changes, right? So many things are changing. When we look around, everything seems to be new, right? I am 66. My age is 66, right? I have gone through all these things. I know what is a radio, transistor, and Walkman, so many things, MP3 player and all these things. And I have come to mobile. Next time I don't know what. And when we talk about TVs, we say picture tubes, right? But why the television is square or it is elongated? We are talking about picture tube. It should be a tube. Is that now in South Korea, they have brought out television in that shape also. Even foldable. You can keep it in your pocket and you can go wherever you want to sit and open it and see that. Wi-Fi. I never heard of. Internet. Until 1990s, nobody heard of. So many things are happening. When we want to kind of keep ourselves along with these technological revolutions, we have to change. There is no other go. If you don't change, the world will change you. Very simple. It is something like running on. You are talking something interesting? No, these two. Say the world will be always moving on its own. It is something like walking in a park and walking on a treadmill. See, you walk on a treadmill, you will be walking for 1 hour, but treadmill will be there, you will be also there. But when you walk in a park, the scenario changes. That is the kind of difference that we are talking about. We will be doing, we will be teaching, we will be learning everything. But we are sitting at one place. So even to stay at one place, we should be running all the time. Because the goalposts have been shifting every time. So we have to change and changing rapidly. Now look at this. In Indian context. About when you were in school, right? We had the pandemic, right? What? COVID-19 pandemic. See this. In 200 countries, all education institutions were closed. And 1.52 billion, that is about 150 crore, right? Learners and 60 crore teachers were only at home, right? And we learned a word, a kind of an expression, social distancing. So COVID-19 gave us a vocabulary, social distancing. Have you heard of that? That people should not come together, they will be at a distance and they have to put a mask and they have to clean their hands and all those things. Now see, during that period, what happened? UGC at the university level asked the college teachers to take classes, online classes. Were teachers trained for that? Right? They were trained for the classrooms. Or they learn on the job. But suddenly, COVID-19 asked people to go for online classes. Did the classes take place? Yes. How they changed themselves? In whatever way. How effective? I'm not going to ask about that. But people have moved on to online classes also. They used to Google classrooms and this and that, and they used it. Some kind of engaging the learners. But whether we can call that online classes, no. We are using a medium to reach people, that's all. Online is completely different. I'm not going to talk about that. But what is here important here is the culturally induced bias. What is that culturally induced bias? Unless we are with our teachers, we will not be able to learn. Right? I'll give you an example. Supposing I'm a very, very, very bad teacher, which I am, right? And I have your students like this. And I take some particular class. After a week or so, or a semester, whatever, I give you a test. Remember, I am a very bad teacher. And I give you a test. How many students will pass? No one will pass. Because I am a bad teacher. But really, does it happen that way? No. When the test is given, at least some people will get a pass, even say 80 marks. Some 60, some 35, some 40, it will get. See, you keep that in mind. Then look at the other side. There will be, or there is, a very, very effective teacher, like professor here or there. He takes a class and he also gives a test. What should happen? All the students should get 100 marks because the teacher is a very effective teacher. Does that take place? No. Even there are failures. Then what is the point there? So what it means is the learner has to put in efforts to understand what is taking place in the classroom. But natural kind of bias is the physical contiguity. If I am not with a teacher, I will not learn. That should be removed from your mind. A teacher is there. Teacher is not a sage on the stage. A teacher is a guide on the side. The teacher will facilitate learning, not put anything in open your, like what we call mug and jug theory. Take mug of knowledge, head, no, not a mug and jug. The teachers are guides. They will take you. So learners have to learn. That's what we call culturally induced bias. So what I want to underline is this. The last sentence here. Considering teachers superfluous is not the intent for AI. AI will help the teachers, help the learners to learn better. Because supposing I am teaching in an English literature classroom, I want to talk about, say, daffodil, Wordsworth the poem Daffodil. Why I remember this word? Because in my class I was taught when I was young as you are. And the teacher, Chellakumar Rose, his name is Chellakumar Rose, he was teaching me. And he said, daffodil, I am in the second year of BA English Literature. He told me, and then I asked him, sir, daffodil? Then I asked him, what is the color of daffodil? He said, yellow. I looked at him again. I said, Murugan, are you not convinced? I said, no. Then he asked me, what shade of yellow? Like it's a lime or fenugreek, something like that. What shade of yellow? Then he couldn't say anything. He said, okay, light shade. Then I asked him, how big that flower is? Daffodil flower. He said, small. Again I asked him, how small? What is small to you may not be small to me. How small? He cannot show it. Then I asked him, is it available? It is in India. We can see it in India. He said, yes. Where? Near Kashmir. So that was the period. In the mid-1970s. Now, if I want to bring daffodil to the classroom, I can bring it. Isn't it? Internet is there. I can go, click, daffodil is there. You can see it. But some people will argue. When we say yellow, small, your creativity will be there. You have to think what that flower is. But when it is given, this is the flower, the novelty will go, the creativity will go. So now the teacher has to take both the views. How to make the person feel little curious, at the same time to fulfill that curiosity, meet the curiosity. So the teacher is there. Teacher will be available. Only the role domain changes. Instead of lecturing 1 hour, there will be more of partnerships, discussions, and giving the other inputs that will make students learn better. So we are not talking about replacing the teacher. When we go for AI ecosystem, it is completely giving. Okay. So what we are looking at is a reimagining learning. Now we know a degree program is 3 years or 4 years. If you want to implement NEP, like National Education Policy, it can be like 4 years. And it's a classroom. But there is a reimagining learning. Can I stop it for a little bit and invite some questions? Because I could see many of you are a little tired. Somebody ask questions. Because it is no point in my saying all these things unless it is relevant to you. Otherwise, I'll just 1 hour I can speak. The first idea was to come and stand there on the podium and I speak. Then I changed to PPT. Because I know how difficult for you to listen to somebody for so long and something different from your discipline. So I just stop and invite some questions. Anybody? Anyone, even teachers, students, anybody. So that will make the presentation little lively. The silence is deafening. Anybody? Any questions? Even Tamil. தமிழ்லேயே சொல்லுங்க, கேளுங்க, ஏதாவது ஒரு கேள்வி கேளுங்க. இங்கே நான் வந்தது என்ன சாட்டிஸ்ஃபை பண்ணுறதுக்கு வரல. இங்கே நான் வந்தது இட் வில் பி சம் யூஸ்ஃபுல்னஸ் டு சம்படி. ஏதாவது கேள்வி இருந்தால் கேளுங்க. வெரி குட், கேளுங்க.
Sir, at the starting of your presentation, you said that Greek, it sounded like Greek and Latin. It's actually an idiom. How would you consider that as a metaphor? I had a doubt whether you call it as an idiom or a metaphor. I think idiom is more apt to that phrase.
See, idiom is a kind of a usage. Metaphor is to compare something with something else. So comparing this, that somebody hasn't understood something with a language. Simile, yeah. It's a figurative language. Like when we talk about figurative language, this is say in the English literature. We say figurative use of a word, right? When I say the moon is as white as milk, or milk is as white as milk, that is simile, right? That we compare. Then we say there are some spots here and there in the moon, right? And say that is like my face. It could be simile, it could be metaphor. So even when we use an idiom can be in the context. It is something like a dictionary word. A word that we see in the dictionary will give the meaning of that particular word, but that may not fit very well in the context in which we use the word. So it will be like that. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Anyone? Use the mic.
Sir, good morning, sir. Sir, since you were talking about the teaching system, you also showed some author who was schooling system. See, why can't we reintroduce the ancient Gurukula system in our India? So, more easy and the students will have more flexibility with their, they can learn whatever they want. There's not a restriction like in our modern education system. Sir, we do have, but not for, sir, I can join. Sir, no, not only for learning some shastrics, also in modern science. So why can't we use that? What will be the disadvantage?
I think it's a good question. Good question. See, there are two extremes. At one side, you look at, it's audible? At one side, we talk about Gurukul system. Another extreme is, as we are walking up the stairs, Swamiji was referring to democratization of education. Two different extremes. So we started with Gurukul system, and which, as he said, which is still available for example, Carnatic music. Right? What happens there? Only, say, when we began with that about 200-300 years ago, and education was limited to only a certain kind of people, restricted to a certain kind of people. Yeah, one guru can take up about, say, 10 people, right? And to extend this further, திண்ணை பாடங்கள்லாம் உண்டு, திண்ணை கிளாஸஸ்லாம், திண்ணை பள்ளிக்கூடம் அப்படின்னா. திண்ணை பள்ளிக்கூடம் எப்படின்னா, ஸ்கூல்னு இருக்காது, வீடு இருக்கும், வீட்டில் வெளியில் திண்ணை இருக்கும், குரு இருப்பாங்க, அங்கே கிளாஸ் நடக்கும். So there is no schooling system of that kind.
When we talk about Nalanda, Dakshila and all those things, that's a different thing. Here, now we can impart education to only 10 people. Or say, some 10 gurus, say 100 people. But 10,000 people are waiting to be educated. Right? What should we do? So we have to build the schools. Some kings and somebody brought all this institutionalization. Now what happened was, like say, if you take a parallel system in Tamil Nadu, so many people have to be given education, higher education. But only a certain government colleges will be able to do that. But we need to go for privatization. During one chief minister's rule, that is Mr. M.G. Ramachandran, in the late 1970s, he thought we will go for privatization of education on the model of America, US. And the American model is that we give you land, the government will give you land. But everything else you have to do that if I want to do this kind of private education. And whatever you are looking at now, right now, Satyabama, so many colleges, so many universities, all private institutions. Like in the mid-80s or towards the end of 80s, they did well. No kind of, what is that, capitation fees or something like that. Nothing. The government gave you acres of land, they built their own thing, and they got loans from from banks, which the government supported, and they brought in faculty members and the classes were conducted. That after the late 1980s, they became very avarice, greedy. And the whole privatization became commercialization of learning. So what was brought in, which is a good idea, became a bad one. So the same thing is applicable here also. When we go for Gurukul system and limited to a few people, and we want to democratize education to many people, and what happened was mediocrity came in, meritocracy gone. And because to fight that mediocrity, systems, technology has come in now. So if I can give about 10 people, say an open system, distance learning can give say 100 people. If technology comes in online course, it can give to 10,000 people. So I need not have to go. What happens when you are Gurukul? If you are a girl, you are not allowed. Those days. And even now it happens in the villages. By 13 or 14 or 15, girls are stopped from the school. And they are keeping ready for marriage. Now if you take our statistics, Indian statistics of higher education, almost 50% of the people are girls. So that is the kind of equality. Otherwise, we will have only men, and a small group of men will be learning. The rest of them will not be able to learn. Now, is kind of education standardized, or is there limits? Every day changes. How do you learn? Now I am 66, I told you. And somebody read my bio, that I have learned AI course also. Right? Supposing I want to go to a classroom, your classroom. If I come sit with you, what happens in a classroom? I cannot sit with you in a classroom because the maximum age is about 24. 18, 23 or 18 to 24. If I walk in and I want to sit with you, either teacher will swing, he will maingirvaru, other students will be doing something. So how do I learn? Things are changing. Every day things are changing. I have to learn. I have to keep myself abreast. So we need this. So Gurukul system may be useful for a small group of people for a certain thing. But otherwise we have to go for opening up. As I said, we have, next a few slides will come. We have so many number of people, about 146 crore. 146 crore is the population of India. 1.46 billion. Even in that 1.46 billion, less than 30% of people are in the higher education. All of you are privileged. I am privileged. There are about 70% of the people are outside higher education. They want to learn. There is no opportunity. How do you provide opportunities to these people? They want to learn, but opportunities are not available. So when we look at ourselves, about 30%, we are very, very, very privileged group. But if you are not using it, then we are stupid people kind of thing. So Gurukul, we may be working for some, but not others. So here, I am talking about various other things. Without classrooms, without timing, if you look at that, there is no, supposing I say when I was a student of English literature, I learned only English literature. Nothing about botany, nothing about commerce, nothing about mathematics. Will that work now? Maybe now. In another 3 years, another 5 years, it is not going to work. We want to have multidisciplinary setup. A teacher should be able to give, or a few teachers have to come together and give. So multidisciplinarity and 24/7 classes. Morning to end, there will be classes. Where any education system can do it? No. So things are going to change. Now, you know about Swiggy, Zomato, Swiggy. What are they? Delivery agent, aggregators, right? I can order something, one place, and I get the food. Education is going to be like that, aggregators. One institution can provide, say for example, I think I have given this. See, if we look at the last but one person can take Shakespearean comedy from the University of Washington, astronomy from Yale University, economics from IIT Madras or Vivekananda College. It is possible. That is the situation is going to come now. It is already there. Singapore, National University of Singapore students, they learn from MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the lab. In spite of these time zones, different time zones, but people can learn. Then, if I go a little earlier, multidisciplinary side, open source educational materials. If you go there, OER, it is called OER. You go and click OER, you get multiple sets of information. So that will give you more information. What takes place in a classroom is one level. Then there are many other things will come. All that you need to have is the curiosity. You have to do more and more and more. And what is now called the micro-credentials. See, to complete a degree, you have to spend 3 years or 4 years. Why should one spend? Why can't I spend 1 year, take a break, go to work, I earn something, come back and do my second year. Then I take a break, 1 semester, second year. Then the third semester, I have a break, I go to work, earn something, come back. This also will be aggregating. Slowly will be kind of what is called modular approach. It is possible. In the new national education policy, some suggestion is taken. Another thing, now you are studying in Vivekananda College. After 1 year, you want to move to Madras Christian College. Is it possible now? Very difficult. But now, throughout the NEP, another year or two, it is going to happen. So, whatever you earned here in terms of credits or marks will be there. When we go to another university or another college or some transfer of your parents going to Delhi, you want to join some Sri Ram college or something, you can learn there also. So the opportunities are now opening up, not fixed at one place. And we should be ready to accept that. And how it is possible? Because of technology that is taking place. So the challenge is, I will give you one example. When you want to send WhatsApp message or SMS to somebody, say one sentence or 2 sentences, how much time it will take for you? Even you will be kind of sleeping and you can type because you know where all these things are, right? Seconds. If I want to send that same thing, it will take 5 minutes. That's it. Lot. So things are changing because what we call you are technology natives. You're born with a mobile. Karnan கேள்விப்பட்டிருக்கீங்களா? கவச குண்டலம் அப்படிம்பாங்க. குண்டலம் வரும், கவசம் வரும் எல்லாமே. You born with that armory. And you people have born with mobile phones. Right? In those days, when a child cries, what happens? Have you seen? Anyway, you wouldn't have seen. Yes, a child cries, the mother goes and they'll put something, a kind of pacifier. Grape water, அது வைத்து வெளியே. சும்மாவே ஒரு குழந்தை சத்தம் போடுது அப்படின்னா போய் அது பேசிஃபையரை வச்சுருவாங்க. அதை பாப்பான்னு வச்சுட்டு அது போட்டு போட்டுருங்க. நீங்கள் குழந்தையா இருக்கச்சும் பண்ணியிருக்கலாம், தெரியல. இப்போ இஃப் எ சைல்டு கிரைஸ், வாட் ஹேப்பன்ஸ்? மொபைல் ஃபோன்ஸ் ஓப்பன் பண்ணி விட்டுருவாங்க. அது ஆன்னு பார்த்துட்டு அது போட்டு படுத்துருவாங்க. யாருக்கு இது ப்ராப்ளம்? டீச்சர்ஸ். காலேஜுக்கு வரச்சவங்க டீச்சர்ஸ். Because generation gap. The Swamiji சொல்றாரு, people are like this, always looking at the mobile. That is also a problem. Tim Cook, Apple CEO or Microsoft Bill Gates, அவங்க children 15 years வரது வர மொபைலை யூஸ் பண்ணக்கூடாதுன்னு சொல்லியிருக்கார். நம்ம என்ன பண்ணுறோம்? அவன் இங்கே ப்ரொடியூஸ் பண்ணி இங்கே அனுப்பிட்டான். We spend all our time on that one. Reels பார்த்துட்டே இருக்கும். We are fascinated. But the same mobile can be used for knowledge creation. Right? But we are misusing that. We are abusing it, not using it properly. That's the reason why I said it's a tool. Tool can be used in whatever way it is. Time? Okay. எல்லாருமே tired ஆயிட்டாங்க. Now, so the idea behind, now let me not do this one, okay. The idea behind all these things, the person who asked about Gurukul system, I don't get your name. This is what is the Gurukul system. About say 2000 years ago, how information is sought. Then moved to library, then 20 years ago computers. Now whole lot of things are coming up. Now future, we sit at somewhere and you will learn everything. See, this is what. Look at this. You know that's a skylark. Tamil adukku per enna? Vanambadi, right? Vanambadi. As it soars up in the sky, it sings. Very happy. இப்போ பிரேக் வந்துடும் சொன்னா எல்லாருக்கும் சந்தோஷமா இருக்குல்ல, அந்த மாதிரி இது when it goes up in the sky, it sings, makes sounds, chirping. But where does it nest? Not on a tree. Because usually all birds nest in a tree. It comes down in a shallow vegetation, about 2 centimeters to 5 centimeters, like grass. அந்த கிராஸ் லேண்டில் கிராஸில் எங்கேயாவது ஒரு இடத்துல சின்ன பள்ளம் மாதிரி இருந்துன்னா it builds its nest. அப்போ ஷெல்லி தி poet, அவர் சொல்கிறார், this is only the first sentence, first stanza. Said, we look before and after. What it means is, human beings have the power of memory. Look before. And after, power of anticipation. The anticipation here now is when this fellow is going to stop. That is the anticipation. So we have the power of memory and the anticipation. That disturbs us. Pine for what is not. We cannot go back. Whatever happened in 1 year, 1 hour before, we cannot put our clock back. What is going to happen next hour, nobody can predict. And that gives us some kind of longing, some kind of disturber or mind. So that is what we look before and after and point for what is not. Our sincere laughter, even when we are laughing with our friends and all this, there is something in the back of our minds. Will something go wrong? Human. Then sweetest songs are those that tell us of saddest thoughts. Human beings like that. But skylark is not. It sings, goes up, comes back. So there is a kind of a connectivity which is very ephemeral when it goes up, very mundane when it comes to ground. So our mind should be like this. This is what? Whatever has happened is happened. What is going to happen will happen. What do I have to do now? Let me do it. And the education system is like this. That's the reason why I put it here, skylark. So our mind can be very disturbed about memories or what is going to happen after completing this degree, what am I going to do? When the examinations come first semester, how I am going to do it or not? How perfectly I do it? What kind of marks I'll get? You leave it aside. You focus on learning. Do your thing best. Whatever you want to do. Once you do that, you are not talking about technology, about the classes, nothing. You have to open up your mind and do something and you will succeed. All the very best for all of you and for the inaugural thing. Thank you for the...